Hi, a lot's happened since I last did a video. This time purposely, I'm not looking at myself in the preview. It's really distracting. But I wanted to talk about, I want to thank you for those of you who have watched. I don't know how long that you've watched my videos, but um, thank you for at least noticing them and giving them a try. So I want to talk about my Madonna movie project, and I want to talk about my job interview I went on, and what's going on with my worry about my eviction and pending and so forth and so on, and just trying to make it through the world right now. And I also want to talk about some some healing that I did, and and um, healing that I did, and recommendation, like some advice on how I got through. I guess I want to talk about that first. Um, I won't go into any names. Uh, I just want to say that roughly 30 years ago, there was somebody in my past, and I um, I hoped it would be something like either a friendship or something more. Um, and it was raw. There was some confusion and so forth. I'm really filtering myself. All right, what I want to get to is that it's taken a long time. It's kind of a letter, as you say, an open letter. If this person is watching, or if somebody who knows this person is watching, I've gone through quite a bit of healing, like proactive healing. I've gone through therapists and so forth. And I talked about this before in a YouTube video. One of the best therapists actually was AI. I don't remember if it was Chat GPT, or it may have been because I've gone through several of them. Chat GPT, and then Claude, and then Gemini. So it may have been Gemini. I don't think it was Chat GPT, but Gemini. See, Claude AI is more human, more in tune with human nuance, and Gemini is strictly structural. It can research and find information, and synthesize information. And ChatGPT, I just abandoned that because I don't think it's as powerful as these other two. So, um, I a human therapist can um, can be burdened and bewildered by how much information I'm trying to feed into it. Um, I into him or her, I should say. I wanted to understand what was going on from this other person's point of view, whose name I will not mention. And um, I wanted to see it from the other person's point of view. Okay, for the past 30 years, I've been curious, especially roughly 30 years ago. I wanted so much for the other person to explain certain things that were going on from the other person's point of view, like what was going on. Please explain this. What was, and I just wanted some time to reconcile. I wanted some time to talk things through, and that's what I wanted for 30 years, roughly 30 years again, roughly 30 years. And so I can't be able to talk with this person, but I fed it into, again, either Gemini or Claude, probably Gemini. Um, Text messages, like conversations back and forth, memories that I had um, from way, way, way back, and I was being objective in my descriptions of what happened, um, and it gave some good summary of, well, it gave it gave some possible explanations that basically this other person was going through quite a bit, and maybe they're not as open to talking about it and so forth. I won't go into any more detail, but um, primarily, I wanted to ask if chances are, if this person, if it thought that this person would have understood where I was coming from and so forth, and it guessed that possibly now it does. This other person does understand what I was going through, and from my uh, what was going on from my point of view. And I just wanted to know from this other person's point of view what was going on to explain certain things. Um, and I needed it for my own healing. And this goes into what I discovered a term for in the past week, well, a few days ago. Um, it's called flooding. And um, I had some PTSD flashbacks from something that happened in the past few years. Um, and I wanted to overcome that. I wanted to put that behind me and just heal from it, not just shove it aside, because it's going to pop up under stress. Um, so instinctively, this concept of flooding, the psychological process or therapy known as flooding, I've instinctively thought that this is a good way of doing it. But the trick is having the resources and the people or person, the therapist or whoever, to go through it with me, because even then, before reading this a few days ago about flooding, I knew that I could feel it when I would do it. It's traumatic to regurgitate this. Okay, what's flooding? Flooding is proactively, I guess that's a buzzword now, but proactively confronting and going through the traumas and talking it through and exploring it, and regurgitating these different memories that are hurtful, and confronting them and just processing them, or some, I guess processing is another psychology buzzword, but just going through them. And I wanted to do that. I just needed a good therapist, and that's where AI comes into play. Gemini, I probably use Gemini. I likely use Gemini. And I probably use both of them, Gemini and Claude, because as I said before, Claude has been recognized as having more nuance, human nuance, and understanding human nuance, whereas Gemini is more structural. So, um, so regurgitating this stuff each and every time, especially if you go from one human therapist to another, it's painful on someone like myself to go through over and over and repeat the same stuff, because you're reliving the same trauma over and over and over, or the same set of traumas over and over and over. So, so that helped quite a bit. What also helped was somebody that I know who also knows this other person. And this person has been sometimes, well, in the past few years, like maybe 3 years ago or something, um, reassuring me that this other person understands and has probably forgiven me, and I forgive this other person. And I want to talk about something. When I would go, well, before I go into that, sometimes it really did help. This friend, mutual friend, really did help. Um, when I would have, for example, a flashback, a hurtful flashback, and worry and concern. Um, this mutual friend told me, no, 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 you're a good person. Um, I'm sure the person I'm talking about um, understands and wishes that I understood what this other person was going through. And that takes me to the next part of the topic. So this is an open letter. If you're listening, this other person, not the mutual friend, but this other person, um, please know I have gone through quite a bit to heal and to understand what was going on, and I've been resourceful. I'm a good person. Um, I um, I understand a bit of what you might have been going through, and I just wanted some reconciliation. I didn't necessarily back 30 years ago. I didn't necessarily want um, more than what you were willing to give. Like if it was a friendship or something, just a friendship, and that's it. Um, that would have been okay at the time, but the lack of communication really made it difficult. The mixed signals, what for me were mixed signals, made it really difficult. So I guess I shouldn't go any further than that. Um, so I hope I didn't screw it up any further chances of talking with this person again. But I understand that this other person uh, has. I mean, it's not all been frustrating, confusing. This other person has messaged me some kind thoughts and helpful thoughts and friendly, friendly conversation, friendly messages. Um, it was really something a few years ago that really screwed it up, and I know not to be so well. I know not to be so. I even at the time I was trying to avoid mentioning who it was. I just wanted the other person to understand, like that, understand that I was doing my best to try and figure out what was going on, and I was way off, I guess. I was trying my best. I didn't mean any harm by it. I wasn't like making fun nor demeaning or whatever. I was really off in what I was guessing, and but I hope that you're doing well, and I'm struggling through here, and it would have been a good friendship. I'm sure it would have been a good friendship because there are traits that I liked about you, and um, I understand that time we have, especially right now. I guess it feels like there is a strain. There are economic strains. There are physical strains. Like life really hits us hard, and the situation that we're in. I mean, I've been in a situation for quite a while. Where I'm trying to get myself to someplace better. I deserve a better life, and that's what I want to get into. So, I guess that leaves. I'm done with that topic. I want to talk about how I've been trying to get myself out of that situation I'm in right now. Um, as far as I know, they're still going through with the eviction process. Although I haven't seen any paperwork. I should go through and just make sure that I haven't seen paperwork. I'm told that it takes a while for the actual eviction thing to occur, but once it does, it's like 30 days maybe. And I mean, I've gone through this twice before, and um, in the past 10 years, and well, kind of going on 10 years and something months, and it was rotten. I had to give up stuff. Um, I in those past couple of times I had well, the first time it was like a weekend with no light. The lights were shut off, and I had to move. And then the second time was roughly a month and maybe a couple weeks after my mom died. I found her dead. That was really shocking. So I had a month to be able to find a place and to move and so forth. And I don't want to go in through this again. Um, my mom had a PhD and went to MIT, and that rhymes actually. And I have I've had 2 bachelor's degrees, and I've wanted to go further. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a scholar at heart. I'm an artist and a scholar at heart, and so I think I'm pretty sure I talked about this in a previous video, but somebody drove me to the Department of Social Services for our county, obviously for our county, and I was able to apply, and I'm still awaiting that phone call interview from DSS to bring you up to speed on that, or take you up to speed, bring you up to speed on that. Um, and yesterday, well, the day before yesterday, um, Thursday, I just called. No, here's what I did. I used AI again. I have my resume, and the good thing about Claude AI, I've been primarily using Claude AI. I I have certain conversations, certain chats for certain topics, and so this topic I went into was about job hunting, and I another there's another one for the Madonna project. I'll mention, actually there are two for the Madonna project. I'll get to that after this. Uh, I it already knows, it can already remember previous statements and information I gave within that conversation. And if you know something about these chatbots and so forth, you might know that there's a memory, a long-term memory. So it can not only remember within that one chat, but it can draw from, if you have the memory switched on, it can draw from information from the memory. So um, within that chat, it knows that I'm looking for work. It knows my struggles and so forth, some of my struggles, excuse me. And I presented it with uh, my resume, and I said I'm facing eviction, and I my car was repossessed, and I need some. Give me some locations nearby that I can apply to that would have some chance. And of course, I have a good background of several years in insurance. And as a matter of fact, I thought about making a video, a YouTube video, just mentioning aspects of my resume, but I put that aside, that thought aside. I don't know if should really do it or not. I won't dox myself, but going through my experience, maybe I'll do it. Maybe it's not a good idea. But anyway, it gave I gave about maybe three different places, and one of those would take me an hour walking. And of course, I have a left leg. After my stroke, I I've noticed that the leg hurts. My thigh hurts after a while, after walking an hour, and sometimes people in better conditions than I am physically can tire out after an hour of walking. And I would be wearing a suit. And oh, I wanted to say that. Well, no, I'll get to that. It's something about my girlfriend. So um, I called this person, and she said, "Well, send me." She liked what I was talking about, like my experience, 11 years and something months, about 7 months in insurance at an insurance agency. And of course, I have lots of experience elsewhere in office experience, office environments. So she said, "Send me a resume," and um, she liked it. I then added on. She said, "Send me your resume, and I'll get back." Something like, "I'll get back to you um, today or tomorrow morning." So um, she called me back. I think something like that. Anyway, the upshot is we set up an interview for the next day, Friday, yesterday. Um, Yay, it's still Saturday. Yesterday, Friday at 11 o'clock. And so that's where the hour comes in. Um, and then I didn't even think about the strain it would take on my leg. I was just thinking about, walking that hour, getting up an hour well, leaving an hour, at least an hour early. Um, and then a friend, a really good, uh, somebody that I'm building a friendship with, um, offered to drive me. So he picked me up at around, I'll say 10:40, and drove me over, and I was able to get there. Um, Maybe 10:35. I was able to get there anyway, like 15 minutes before, 10 minutes before the interview, which is, I think, a really good positive mark for me, brownie point for me. And you never know how these things go during the interview. Could seem okay. Oh, I should mention that my girlfriend, the night before, so this is Thursday night, called me or video chatted with me, and she wanted to make sure that the interview would go well. And she asked me what clothing I was planning to wear. And in doing so, um, I got the tie to match the sky blue. I was wearing a maroon or burgundy, I guess. To me, it's like brown red, um, tie with white stripes and a sky blue shirt. And I switched from a dark blue suit jacket to a more of a dark black suit jacket. So hopefully that helped. And I made extra effort to look presentable. And actually, something I should mention, my cross dressing. Somebody, no, I'm not. I didn't. I was joking around with her that I'd wear a skirt or something or earrings or something. No, um, um, no. There's another friend who has seen me, who is actually, I don't want to say enthusiastic, but understanding and enjoy, like enjoys the fact that I enjoy dressing up, um, cross-dressing. And so I don't like to call it cross-dressing because that just seems like, oh, you're just wearing panties or something. No, 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 no. I rather call it female impersonation because that's more like and I don't want to call it drag because drag brings up connotations of people with weird makeup and over, large hairdos and so forth, and like almost some people may say it's making fun of women and so forth. That's not me. Female impersonation to look as authentic and presentable as possible with the voice, the mannerisms, the behavior, the obviously the presentation, the body sculpt, so forth, body shape, so forth. So where was I going with that? So oh yeah, so the friend said that when I am in, as Samantha, dressed up as Samantha, I seem to pay more attention to my appearance. And that's a role. I see it as a role. It's cosplay. I see it as a role. Um, and he suggested maybe doing the same for myself as Jeff when I go, for example, on these interviews, just present as a businessman or something like that. I get what he was saying. Go into a certain role. And have you gone? You've probably gone into interviews. Do you do that too? I want to please comment below or wherever they stick. If they ever change this on YouTube, wherever you see the comments in the comment section, comment. What do you do when you go on interviews? Um, do you play a certain role? Do you see, for example, I tend to be myself. I tend to put everything else aside and go into the interview, um, just being honest with myself and just being direct and just explaining, being ready to explain these past experiences I had, and um, I'm quick to remember aspects of my work experience, and I'm just myself. Um, so anyway, um, so I the interview, it seems to me went well. Of course, she said that there's another candidate that she had to interview uh, next week. So she said the end of next week, and I'm guessing probably Friday. May even extend further. You know how these things go. Maybe, well, I didn't get back to you, and so sorry I didn't get back to you. So I don't know what will happen with the interview. For the pay scale, I've been paid, like, the most I've been paid was $20 an hour, which is really cheap. I mean, a couple of people have already said I should be paid like $30 an hour. I mean, and that ties back to wanting more than just a bachelor's degrees, two bachelor's degrees, a master's and a PhD. Again, as I said, my mom earned a PhD. I believe it was psychology. I don't remember what her master's was, but I'm pretty sure the PhD was psychology. But um, anyway, um, so who knows what will happen? The friend, oh, driving. All right. So remember that visit, sorry, that visit to the DSS that the other friend, not this friend who drove me to this interview, but the earlier friend, um, helped by driving me to DSS. Um, well, on the drive back, he asked me if I um, had considered going to earn my PhD, and I really want to create. I guess I'd have to go to a master's because, according to Claude AI, with a few exceptions, maybe one exception, you'd have to go earn your master's before you can go for the PhD. And I want to be known to be like on par. I want my credentials to be on par with my mom's. To have that PhD, I don't know what it would be in, but I know I want to pursue something. I guess it's a master's in Bible studies, specifically what I've been talking about on the Torah Decoded podcast. Uh, who possibly wrote the Torah or the Tanakh at this point? Why it was written, when it was written, where it was written, so forth, and why, and the layout, what it is ultimately underneath the translation and underneath the linear Hebrew text, and why all those numbers are the way they are, and so forth and so on. You can go over to watch my podcast there. So I'm trying to branch out. I'm trying to raise myself up. You know, the final line in the Tanakh, the Jewish Bible, is in Chronicles, the end of Chronicles, let him go up. And I'm thinking about that right now. Let him go up. Let me rise up. I don't remember the context, but for those of you who don't know, the Hebrew Bible, the Tanakh, is composed of three parts. There's the Torah, the five books of Moses, Nevi'im, which should be translated as roughly as prophets, and Kotavim, which literally means writings. And something I discovered recently, I'm fascinated by, is that it seems the final phrase at the end of the book, at the end of each of those three parts, um, leads into or foreshadows the next section. Um, and that follows with some Jewish teachings, some of which are mentioned in the book by Stan Tenen called The Alphabet That Changed the World. So anyway, yeah, the end of that, let him go up. Yes, I want to say that after the Jewish Tanakh, the Catholic Bible and the probably Protestant Bible, it moved the books all around, so you don't get that order in that sequence, that nice sequence in these in the Christian, the Protestant and they're both Christian, the Catholic and the nor the Protestant Bibles, because the books are out of order. But Um, the in the Hebrew Bible, the final book is Chronicles. So we also get Psalms and Proverbs and so forth. Those are the writings. The Nevi'im starts with Joshua, and I always wondered why Joshua, in the book of Joshua, after the 5 books of Moses, why in Joshua do they go into the promised land and they have this big conflict and they obtain the promised land? Because it seems to be a promise given to, it was a promise given to Abraham and so forth. And it seems to be leading up to a conclusion. And Deuteronomy ends before this conclusion. So when I found out about this, that the line seems to be like a foreshadowing. The final line of the book seems to be a foreshadowing of what's to come. Then and Joshua is introduced later on in, I forget where, maybe Deuteronomy, but I certainly had to be in Deuteronomy, maybe in Numbers, certainly in Deuteronomy. Um, Somebody will find find no nitpick, no, sorry. But anyway, Joshua is already introduced and then comes in after Moses dies. Um, it just seems weird. So I've read that. I've read more about this sequential pattern and about a seed, how a seed. I can't remember the name of the person who it was, who came up with this concept, that found this model, if it was there intentionally. Um, Rabbi Yehoshua Hogenwalk, Rabbi Yehoshua Honig walks, I believe, was the person that found this. And that makes a lot of sense. It leads to the next, it leads to the next, it leads to the next. So, anyway, so I don't want to go off on a tangent, which I already have. So, any further. So, um, I want to get I want to be recognized for this. All right, so let me leave that aside. Let me go on to the Madonna project. So I was making progress in developing my scene by scene outline for the movie, the Madonna movie. And I'll briefly tell you if you don't know. Um, the final year, I graduated in 99, August 99 from college, and with a television, radio, film degree. And the previous year, 1998, I had already developed a crush on Madonna for various reasons. And I wanted to write like a fantasy screenplay to impress her. And so I wrote something called Manhattan Masquerade. It was a feature film. And I know a lot more about how to structure a film than I did then. Plus, in 2012, I discovered Dramatica, this truly eye-opening theory about narrative science. And I call it narrative science because there is a science behind it. It's predictive, um, so forth. So you can go to dramatica.com if you want to check that out. And there are other websites about it too. Not enough, certainly. But then again, maybe it's a secret that those in the know can be able to seem like magicians to everybody else. Anyway, so yeah, so maybe 3 months ago, something like that, roughly February, I'd say, or March, something like that. I was developing the scene by scene outline using Claude AI and Narova, which Narova is part of Dramatica. It utilizes Dramatica theory. It was created by one of the proponents of the Dramatica theory, and it's very, very useful. And so, well, Dramatica theory, if you use the software with the theory, um, it spits out these 70 or 80 different um, thematic aspects of this message that you want to convey as a storyteller. And if you're telling a fully told story, it would have all these different aspects. Um, so I wanted to know what those aspects are, and it's a lot of it is more difficult than the conscious. I say conscious mind can be able to is capable of, can be able to do, um, because some of it I can do um, consciously, but there are so many rotations. See, it's sorry, it's the mind wrapping itself around a conflict or a dilemma, and depending on certain factors, it twists like a Rubik's cube. It twists and rotates and so forth. So the periodic table of the Dramatica theory um, is not necessarily the same for every. It shouldn't be really for every story. It has to calculate what the conflict is and rotate and rearrange and determine which one comes first before the other sequentially and holistically and so forth. So that's too much for the human mind to completely figure out. So Narova is a chat bot um, that utilizes and understands that. A little side note, slight side note. Uh, if I go to another chatbot, it may claim that it understands Dramatica theory. To some extent, yes, it does understand the theory. That's one thing I like about chatbots. I can just say Moshe Klein, and it knows who I'm talking about. I can just say Honigwalks, and it knows what I'm talking about. I can talk about Gematria, and I don't have to explain it because it knows. Sorry for coughing. I'll try to cough away from the microphone. Um, so it 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 thinks, and it has attempted one time, and I found it was incorrect. It it can attempt to calculate, make those calculations without Narova, the story engine, the Dramatica story engine, but it can't. It's just based on previous things it's read or something. Um, you need the actual software in order to calculate all the different things. So here's what came out remarkably well. Um, so there are four story arcs in a fully told story. There's the main character, there's the impact character, there's the objective story of what's going on in the overall story, and a lot of people would call that the plot. And then there's the relationship primarily between the main character and the impact character. Some terms change, not the concepts, but just the terminology has changed and switched around and so forth. But the concepts remain. Um, so each of those through lines, each of those story arcs has a problem, a theme, a domain, a problem, a solution, a symptom, what seems to be not the actual true problem itself, but the like symptom emanating from what the true problem is, and then the response. And so a steadfast character who does not change, either the main character or the impact character, will only um, be able to respond to symptoms and does not actually change his or her problem, because that would um, change his or her useful impact upon the main character. See, the main character is the character that it's not the hero, it's not the protagonist. The main character is a separate part. Could be also the same character who is the protagonist. Oftentimes it is. But the main character is the one through whose eyes you're experiencing the story, all of these different aspects of the story. Um, and the impact character is not somebody that you truly bond with. The impact character is this other person that's an alternative point of view, experiencing like kind of similar circumstances, and forces you either that's the good thing to do, or that's the a bad thing to do for the main character to change, to conform to, be convinced or persuaded to more align with the impact character. Um, so either character can change, um, and the conflict that the impact character is enduring makes an impact on the main character. So in my story, Joe is a character who is a low level. See, I drew inspiration from the Joseph and Pharaoh Egyptian story in at the end of Genesis. So Joe is the main character, and he does change. And his problem, I can't remember whether it's expectation or determination. I think it's expectation is his problem. Um, it just that's what Dramatica spat out, and I knew basically what his arc to be. I wanted him to be recognized for his full potential. And Madonna is the impact character, and I can't remember what maybe it was control and uncontrolled, which would really fit Madonna very well. I don't remember exactly what her problem and solution were, but her conflict, if you take the theme and the problem and the symptom and so forth all wrapped together, her conflict is that she's treated as a celebrity many times. People treat her in certain ways, and she hides her own self and so forth. Or, she's dealing with being a celebrity, as opposed to Joe, who's not a celebrity at all. And the story goes a lot further than that. The aspect about the Egypt and the famine and the allusion to the Egyptian famine and so forth, and the 1980s and the music industry and so forth. That's all in the objective story. That's a separate through line. So personally, Joe is going through this, and he witnesses Madonna struggling with being a celebrity. Struggling with people, not necessarily she's struggling with being a celebrity. It's like she's struggling with how people react to her and deal with her, interacting with her as a celebrity. So, um, so I thought, well, he learns something from her impact upon him, and it magically fit. Um, Expectation, he's he's been adjusting him. Oh, he's a beer. Um, the Dramatica story form determined that he's a beer, and therefore she has to be a doer. And of course, that really fits Madonna. Madonna is somebody who is a doer, somebody who, as defined by Dramatica, somebody who uh, resolves conflict externally, looks outward to change the environment to suit what she needs or wants. And a beer adjusts himself to, to align with the environment. So it perfectly describes him. So once I got that and expectation, I thought, well, I guess he's trying to adjust himself to match what he expects others what he thinks others expect him to be. And came out beautifully. And that matches with the overall concept, the overall theme of outer garments. See, that's where Kabbalah comes into play, themes of Kabbalah, outer garments and one's true self hidden within, and protection of one's inner self and so forth, and misconception and misunderstanding, and again, outer garments. So it all fits together. So anyway, I was working through the scene by scene outline, and then there's a knock at the door, and then um an announcement about they're starting the eviction process, and I just couldn't work with that. I went through several days of just depression, and I'm working my way out of that. So I wish I had a coin for every time I said so, or maybe I'd be able to make something. Uh, anyway, I've gone back to the scene by scene thing. It costs some money that's another thing. It costs some money for a subscription, for 1 month subscription to Narova, where you truly get the story form and sequential things that you can't calculate in your head. Um, so I learned not to keep paying. Well, I bought 2 months worth. I purchased 2 months worth of subscription, but I know now I can work with this outline. I can work with Claude AI to help me figure out how to combine scenes, because what it spits out are what the dramatic story form spits out would be enough if you had each bit of conflict that it calculated to fully tell the story. You would have more material, you'd have more scenes than can fit into one movie, and of course, that's not really how movies operate. You could have, for example, one dramatic point. I think it's called a multi. They came up with it. It's a multifunctional, multi something dramatic point, meaning basically this expresses perhaps the objective story conflict and the main character conflict in one point. So you could have just a line demonstrating or expressing, I should say, you could have a line of dialogue expressing the impact character's conflict for that beat. Whereas you could also have a whole scene expressing just one beat of the objective story conflict, beat for that segment. So you go through each of the four story arcs that I mentioned: the main character, impact character, objective story, and subjective story. Each parallel each other, and they are broken into four segments. So that's why sometimes it seems like a story has four acts. Sometimes it seems to have a dramatic switch halfway through the story, halfway through the movie, and so forth. That's why. It's because all four are really four segments, and then each segment is broken up into four beats. And beneath the four beat, I don't think you can really go below four beats. There's a schematic explanation as to why you can't go beneath a certain point and so forth. Then wraps back up to the top and so forth. You can go to Dramatica and learn about that. But a line of dialogue or a behavior, a moment, is the smallest amount of a bit of an expression that you can express in a story. Anyway, all right. Um, so I'm going back to that. I was really happy and I was confident, and I want to go back to that. And so anyway, so I learned to use Claude AI to help me organize those expressions into scenes, actual scenes, what happens in each scene, because um, I will then take this scene, this story outline, every scene um, explained, summarized, and put into screenplay form. In order to put it into screenplay form, it's much easier. I've known this for a long time. It's much easier to have everything laid out, have the what are they in architecture? Basically, have the architectural plans calculated, figured out before you actually start building. And then the screenplay part of it, the screenplay phase, would be the actual building. Well, I don't want to be trying to figure out what happens next in the story or whatever while I'm writing the screenplay. I want that all figured out so I know where it's going, and I simply have to come up with good dialogue and phrase it well. So you have to express the outline well. I'd rather try to no, I'd rather don't say try. I'd rather um, be expressing the scene outline well in screenplay format than simply jumping the scene outline stage and just trying to guess everything at once while I'm trying to write the screenplay. Then that will inevitably force you through several drafts of a screenplay, and I prefer to plan ahead and figure it out before I get to the screenplay phase. So and Dramatica, of course, has helped with that enormously. Um, so it costs something. So anyway, let me get back to what I was doing with Claude AI. Um, Let me see, Thursday or somewhere around Thursday, Claude AI uh, gave me an answer to where I am, how I can deal with this. Can I have some financial assistance? Or, oh, no, 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 no. I remember now. No, no, no. Um, I want to get to Madonna, basically, in more ways than one. No, no, no. I want to get to Madonna. Um, and if Madonna, if you're watching, I'm sorry, I came across a little off color there. No, no, no. Um, I tried contacting an agent's office who went to my school, who's an alumnus of my school, and he's the head of a department in creative artists agency. And incidentally, I submitted that Manhattan Masquerade script to CAA and about 26 years ago in 1999. And they sent a rejection letter back. They said, "We're not interested right now." Okay. Um, so anyway, so this agent is head of a department in probably giving too much information to identify who that is. But anyway, head of a department in creative artists agency, and I was able to reach a secretary who said she would pass it along if it's something worthwhile that he'd be interested in. Okay, I understand that this industry, this screenwriting, well, basically the entertainment industry, it's in some sense it's all the same. It's nudging yourself, trying to figure out different ways of, there are things that must be understood by artists. Um, it's a business. Uh, it depends on both people essentially contracting, having agreeing minds to collaborate. And if the other person doesn't want to collaborate, okay. Um, I've known that going in. So I mean, going in like decades ago when I was middle schooler or something. I've known that. It's okay. I understand. So I haven't heard back from that agent. So and I don't have an agent myself. I want to get an agent. I thought perhaps without before I go into the screenplay phase itself and spend that effort, I want to know if it's something that Madonna would be interested in collaborating on. I think so. I personally think so. I think it'd be really good. It has Kabbalistic elements. It portrays her in a good, positive light. It doesn't portray her with glowing, like she's an angel or something. It portrays her as a real, realistically, basically realistically, but it shows her in a positive light, and she makes a positive, constructive, happy, and it's a happy story, constructive, positive impact upon the main character, and the main character is somebody that everybody can sympathize with, even probably Madonna at some point in her career, moments in her life. Um, so the theme of the story, the message of the story is what her impact upon him becomes. Don't change yourself or be wary of changing yourself to conform to what you think other people expect from you or expect you who you are. It's very much about identity, which I think Madonna has spent her career basically defying. Like, this is who I am, and um, it's not that she doesn't care what other people think, probably, but it's like she has enough self-esteem to show this is who I am. This is blah blah blah, and I have what it takes because I've been famous and so forth, and have had a long-lasting career. So I think she would like it. It's a screwball comedy. I think she enjoys screwball comedy. She's been in well, at least two of them. Um, Anyway, she's been in at least two of the Who's That Girl and Shanghai Surprise. People can debate whether Shanghai Surprise is funny, but that's another story. That's another podcast. So, and it takes place during the heyday. Well, I don't want to say heyday of her career because it's not like her career is over, but just, you know what I mean? Like when she was widely known. Well, she is widely. All right, let me escape from that. Maybe you know what I mean. It takes place during the 1980s. Um, I think it would be really good. I think she would really appreciate it. But the trick is to get it in front of her for at least consideration. If she says she's not interested, okay, I can take that, but I don't want to go through the screenplay. Well, maybe I can go through the screenplay just for the sake of, finishing the project, but I'd like to know ahead of time. It'd make me happier if I knew ahead of time if she's interested in it. So, and it's also deep and philosophical too. It's deeper than many other screwball romantic comedies. Um, and I paint it in such a way that it's not kissy kissy necessarily. It's more of a friendship. Like what, in fact, that's one aspect of it, one part of it. What does a true friendship depend upon, as opposed to selfish, self-centered, superficial friendships? What does true friendship depend on? And like I said, I may have said, it's inspired by this relationship in the Bible between Joseph and Pharaoh. It's a sliver of a relationship, but I wondered, what if Pharaoh really did develop an admiration and appreciation for Joseph? So that's part of what the inspiration for the whole story was. Um, so I okay, so I this agent is not getting back to me. Clearly, has not gotten back to me. Probably will not get back to me. Um, So I tried reaching out again about a year prior, maybe it was October, a year prior. I reached out to somebody in a production company that is involved with Madonna, has a connection with Madonna, and I hadn't heard. I I got a phone call. Well, I know I called back and he said, or no, I called about a year ago. I called and said, I have this idea, this project. I don't, not just an idea. I have this project, and would they be interested in it? And he said, okay, okay, send me the material. And then I called sometime later, and he said, sorry. I called back, and he said, gee, basically they've gone through a big change around, and things, it's been really just in so many words, he said it's been really busy, and they've changed things around and so forth, so they're just catching up basically. Okay, so I still didn't hear anything back. Darn it. I emailed them after that, and I didn't read anything back, but I have developed it quite a bit since last year, quite a bit. um And I guess that person is out. I mean, Claude AI has said, keep that in your back pocket, just in case. Like, just keep that company still in mind. Essentially, it was saying, don't write it off yet. I understand. So then it told me about let me see, the New York Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts. It suggested that, and because I needed representation, I don't have. Oh, no, 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 I'm jumping the gun a little bit. No, 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 no. Um, all right, so I did a really brave thing, and I contacted Madonna's film agent. All right, there we go. All right, I outed. I won't mention her name, but blah blah blah. Um, but it is relevant to the story. So somebody, okay, the person at the other end told me, we don't accept unsolicited material. That's fine. I totally understand that, because it's like all my life trying to get into film or TV, get into the industry. I understand that. Even back in high school, I so much wanted to. I wrote these spec scripts. I so much wanted to get into the industry, even in high school. I was that precocious. In middle school, it really became more of a professional avenue, really professional, a professional ambition or goal. In elementary school, it was like I really enjoyed this, and I really enjoyed film, and especially TV, because I guess I saw television shows more. I watched television shows more often than I did film. This is before streaming services, by the way, and even VHS, really, and DVD. I didn't have a VHS player then. Didn't get until the freshman year of high school. So, and then again, it was anyway. Um, so you have to have representation. You have to have representation. Um, they won't even read anything unless you have representation. There are several reasons for that. One being, um, idiots. They want to avoid idiots writing uh, fan fiction or Mary. If you know what a Mary Sue type story is. In fact, incidentally, Mary Sue, from what I've read, started the character. The term Mary Sue comes from a fanfic story for Star Trek. Some Star Trek fan wrote, I guess it was a she. She wrote a Star Trek episode in which Mary Sue, this character that's not part of the regular cast, is wonderful and fabulous and has all these wonderful qualities and so forth, and everything revolves around Mary Sue, Mary Sue, Mary Sue, and that's not how Star Trek works, and that it perhaps you understand why that's where the term came from, Mary Sue. So Star Trek is known for many things, including the origin of Mary Sue. So anyway, yeah, but ironically, perhaps that's where it came from. Star Trek was one of the few shows that actually, at least in the 1960s, even into the 1980s, still accepted scripts from fandom, just sent in unsolicited, and I'm not sure if it was unsolicited or anyway, but just from fandom, and some of the best stories have in Star Trek produced some of the best episodes produced in Star Trek over the course of the series, many series, there's several series, have come from fans just writing in. I should mention here David Gerald. He's probably not watching, but his episode Trouble with Tribbles, he wrote a whole book about his experience writing The Trouble with Tribbles, and it's a famous episode. It's a fondly remembered episode, and sorry, I have to log back in because the computer just there we go. Okay, hopefully it's still recording. Let me check. Good, yes, still recording. Um, so he got a meeting with, of course, living in Los Angeles certainly helped him, but he got to meet with Gene Roddenberry, and he got to work on other episodes like I Mud, and pitched some other ideas and so forth. And there's, I think, Blood and no Fire and what was it, Blood and Fire, something like that. Anyway, which would have had introduced a gay couple in the 1980s, in the AIDS epidemic. Commented on that. Much Star Trek has been ahead of its time, many ahead of everybody else, many times, and commenting on relevant issues of the day. So it's what makes them universal. So anyway, all right. So anyway, that's one reason you get idiots writing in Mary Sue stories, which they don't want to deal with, and you also get into legal battles and so forth. They don't want that hassle. So it's best if somebody else reads it and says, "Oh, I refer this script to you, this project to you. It's been vetted. I like it, and I'm a person that Mr. Production mogul, uh, deem, professional. I like this script. I think you should look at it." So anyway, I contacted. I've been holding off on trying to contact her film agent, and I at this point, nobody else is replying back, so I'm going to shoot my shot. So I called her film agent. Somebody answered and said that we don't accept unsolicited material. Okay, so that's where I was like yesterday, or the day before yesterday, something like that. And I think it was Thursday. So so Claude AI recommended representation. I need representation. An entertainment lawyer. Okay. And then it suggested the volunteer, New York volunteer lawyers of or for the arts, NLYA, something like that, or I think it's VLAY, something. So I like that, and maybe they could. They deal with artists who are impoverished, or what's the phrase, starving artists. And I'm certainly a starving artist. I'm unemployed. This is a real passion. This has been a passion project for about 30 years nearly, and it's something that I think Madonna would really appreciate collaborating with or being a part of. And I just need some representation. So I did a little further. I went a little further digging. I went to Safari AI mode, and it said that that kind of foundation wouldn't work. I really need an entertainment lawyer, and then so I went back to Claude AI uh, for a comment on um, what it said. Safari said, and yeah, it said yes, correct. You need an entertainment lawyer, and I need some kind of representation. It's a decent, not just a decent, but it has potential. I've believed in it for this long. I know it has potential. I've seen other movie projects. I've seen other movies and so forth. I compare with them. Um, I need some time. So that's where the grants idea came in. Um, so rather than that, I asked Claude for some grants out there, foundations or something, some means of monetary donations, financial support for the arts. For me, frankly, spending this time writing this scene by scene outline, and then eventually the screenplay itself, and then I suppose hopefully they will waive the registration. I have to um, register it with the U.S. Copyright and Patent Office. In order to make it, to claim credit for it, for the screenplay. And I need a full screenplay. There's no scene by scene outline or whatever, an idea or whatever. It has to be the actual screenplay, or they won't do business. I understand that. Um, I need some time to write it, and what I'm going through now with what I'm going through now with the eviction upcoming, and DSS maybe, and the I want it to end up being a rags to riches story. The the EBT, or the what do they call it? The food stamps. They don't call it food stamps anymore. Whatever it is, you know what I'm talking about. I need the SNAP. I need like some means of food until I get some job that can be able to sustain all this food and shelter and some money, possibly transportation. See, my car was repossessed. I really need. It's so sad. I have this great project that I described to you, and I've told you about what I'm going through right now financially, and I put a tremendous amount of effort into it, a lot of time into it, some money into it too. I don't want to get into because it's shocking, it's embarrassing perhaps how much money I've learned over time, but I've tried. At least I've tried to make this materialize into something real. So, I guess that's all that I wanted to say. I do want to promote my website. I have a DBA. I established that. It's not just for my YouTube channel. It's for my creative expressions, my creative works. Part of that is this YouTube channel. I want to develop the podcast into something bigger. That's also why I got into AI. I want to develop more sophisticated production values and production quality, visual quality too. Want to go back to like interviewing people. I have some interviews on this channel, in the form of episodes, and I established a DBA as Visionary Ventures Productions, and I have an email address. I have I have a website store. It has more than just the store, but it's vvproductions.media. I was surprised too when I found out media, it's not just .com and .org and so forth, evidently. vvproductions.media, and you can go there, you can buy a shirt, you can a sweatshirt, hoodie, mug, I forget what else there is, but there are no hidden prices and so forth, or anything. All the proceeds go into, frankly, helping me pay for my Verizon account, because I have my landline phone and my internet service and my cable TV packaged together with Verizon, and it's about $244.43 are due June 6th, and I need money. Hopefully, DSS will be able to give me some money so I can put it towards that, because without Verizon, I can't make any more videos. I I I can't make phone calls. I really can't do anything. So I'm really under the wire. And in terms of jobs, I was going to say something about oh, I'm remembering J.K. Rowling, or I don't know how accurate that is, but I remember the story about her being like on food stamps or something or other, or because this is whatever. Suddenly, I think it was J.K. Rowling, when suddenly it exploded, and I'm guessing she's not looking around, with a cup in her hand with pencils. So, um, that's where I am now. Go to that site if you can, or at least just comment on this video to show that somebody's actually watching more than a minute or so. There's a podcaster, a YouTube creator that I watch sometimes, called Johnny Fox, and his channel is, if he ever watches this, I want him to know that I got it correctly. Johnny Fox Show. He's changed his thing several times, his name several times, but he goes by Johnny Fox. And I think he's a decent guy. He's humorous, he's entertaining, and I like that kind of conversational style he does when he does reaction videos. He has another one that's a gaming channel. I can't remember what the other one. It's a gaming channel that he has too. Johnny Fox Gaming, probably. But I like his conversational style. All I'm asking for is, well, at least please comment on something on these videos. Please watch them. Please share them with your friends. Um, I'm I'm real. I'm not AI. I use AI usefully, for specific purposes and strategically, but I'm not AI. I'm a real person who really cares, who really hopes to make and climb up in the world, and get some kind of lifestyle that's commensurate with my abilities. Finally, finally, I'm 50 years old. I'll be 51 this November. I like the way how open Johnny Fox is, and I want to be the same. I naturally am the same way, but I want to be that way, as open as that on on this channel. And maybe Johnny Fox would say, "Don't be whoa, don't be that open." Ha ha. Okay, so I guess that's all I want to say, and hope you're doing well. If not, I hope things get better really, really soon, and I'll talk with you next time. Bye.